Jay has talked about you playing kind of relaxed, playing within yourself. The process, since last season, how much better have you gotten at that, and why do you think that you're going to be a little more capable at times of managing the game when that's asked of you?
Yeah, I think every year I play in this league, I'm going to get better. Every game, every snap, you learn something, you pick something up. So each day that I'm here and I'm out practicing, I'm getting better as a quarterback. And so having now a season under my belt with this system, I think it'll help me. And as we go through the season, I'll get better as we go. And I'm excited for that development and that growth to take place.
Quite the tall task coming up on Sunday. Obviously, their defensive line, defense in general. As you're studying them, what do you see? What kind of task are they for you Sunday?
Yeah, I see a very talented defense. I mean, it starts up front. They have a great pass rush, great run stoppers, just really good football players across the board up front there. I don't see a real weakness. And on the back end, I see a lot of guys who can make plays, starting with Grimes, a corner who I think is one of the better corners in the league. So they have players, and it's going to be a great challenge for us. But, you expect that week in and week out to play really, really good football players, and Miami's no different.
One thing you did well last year was avoid taking sacks. You had one of the lowest sack percentages in the league. How do you do that? What in particular helps you stay upright there in the pocket?
Yeah, I think that's a big part. When you look at statistics that are critical to winning football games, getting sacks is a big stat, and not taking sacks, it really helps you have a chance. So it's an important part of my game to avoid those. Got to get the ball out of your hands. Got to make quick decisions. Got to see the field quickly. And it'll always be an important part. That being said, there are times when a sack is the only option if a guy gets beat. And with the defensive line that Miami has, that may happen at times. So it's that ability to make the right decision in a split second to know, is this the time to take a sack? Is this the time to dump it off to somebody, or do I need to throw it away, or can I throw it away? Those split-second decisions are what make the great quarterbacks and separate them from the average ones.
Kirk, I wasn't here for your last press conference. I saw in the quote sheet you were talking about how you had a lot of sleepless nights last year. What was the source of that anxiety? Was it the idea that you didn't know if you were going to get the chance again, or was it just literally the game-to-game kind of mental aspect of it? Like, what was the source of that anxiety?
Well, it was once I was no longer playing, and it was just feeling like I hadn't done the job. Anybody who has a job to do and doesn't feel like they get it done, you have that feeling of I wish I could do it over again, but I can't. And so having to deal with that is tough. But at the same time, I've always held to the adage, and I've said it before here: tough times don't last, tough people do. And I just try to remind myself of that I'm going to be a tough person through this. I'm going to keep going and trust that if I do that, maybe I'll get another shot. And here we are.
When did you find yourself able to sort of get through that crossroad to where you felt like kind of renewed again?
I don't know that there was any line that I crossed, but I think just as the season went on and progressed, I just started to kind of look forward to what do I need to do now, what's important now, and just keep moving forward.
Kirk, you haven't been an opening day starter since your last year of college. What is this going to feel like, and how do you guard against letting that moment overwhelm you? Yeah, that's a great point, Mike, and I think that's certainly a focus for me, is being able to understand, yes, it's a big game, yes, it's important, but I'm the kind of guy who's going to acknowledge that. It's my job to almost stay relaxed and enjoy the process and enjoy the moment, have fun, and put a smile on my face. So I think that's certainly a point of emphasis for me this week. And like you said, I haven't been in this position in a few years, so it's a cool opportunity though. And last time I did it in 2011, the season went all right. It was a good year, so hopefully we can have the same thing this year. Are there any tricks or things you've learned to savor the moment but not let it bog you down? Like Jay said, you can't feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. So yeah. How do you do that but also savor the moment at the same time? Yeah, I think it's just perspective, having the right perspective. And I say some phrases that I'll repeat over and over: just enjoying the process, having fun, not making it a bigger deal than it is, and being able to do that will be very important.
Kirk, I know Coach mixed it up a lot over training camp and stuff. You guys, all of you quarterbacks and all of the receivers and running backs, but now you're working with your number one receivers. How's that feeling in terms of cohesiveness and coming together with them?
Yeah, I feel like the strength of our offense and maybe the strength of our whole team is the outside. The receivers, the tight ends, the playmakers, and even at the running back position. So for me, it's my job to get them the football and then let them go do the jaw-dropping stuff. So I'm going to try to put the ball in their hands and then let them go from there. And I'm excited for that job, that role.
Kirk, in terms of reading defenses, recognizing coverages, pressures, how do you go about trying to do that? Is it just film work? How much can you simulate out here? What's your plan of attack?
Yeah, it's a lot of film work. It's a lot of just going into a room and going over plays of your own and going out here on the practice field, going through walkthrough, going through different practice periods that have different emphasis. So it's a combination of factors, and it takes time. You're never going to be a master overnight, but hopefully you can pile it on day after day, week after week, season after season, to where you start to become a master at recognizing it and understanding it.
You had your previous starts here, you've had pretty much Alfred to hand the ball off to. Now you've got him, you got Matt Jones and Chris Thompson, three pretty different kinds of runners. How much is that going to help you out for moving the ball?
Yeah, if we can run the ball well, it's going to bode well for our pass game. It's going to take a lot off of me. So that's going to always be the plan. You always want to commit to running the football and never get away from that. And we feel like we have the running backs to be able to do that and have success running the football.
Once you start the season, it's week by week in terms of opponent. But when was the first time you actually looked at Miami tape, and how long, or when did you kind of start that regular season mode of looking exclusively at Miami?
I'd say it was the week of the Jacksonville preseason game when I was told that I probably wouldn't be playing in that game. And so you say, all right, what's next? What's important now? And that's getting ready for Miami. So it was that week.
No, is it off season that you started?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you start talking about them. Yeah, I mean, you have quality control guys breaking down film back in the spring because they know we're going to play them. So you certainly, can look at it that far back. At the same time, I like to have my weekly rhythm and routine, and so I don't want to get too far ahead to get out of that rhythm.
Kirk, it sounds like, last year was a tough experience, but in retrospect, probably a hugely important one. You have the experience now. So what was the greatest lesson you learned during those starts that you did get last year?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head the greatest lesson. I certainly learned a lot. I do feel like I'm maybe a little stronger person having gone through it. Time will tell, as we go. But to give you one lesson that stands above all the others, I don't know. It'd be hard for me to say.
Kirk, lots been made about the right side of the offensive line, two new starters. What kind of progress have you seen from Brandon and Moses, and what kind of things do you think you might tell them about this opponent as you go through the week to help them and obviously to help keep you upright?
Well, the right side of the line, they're young, they're a little inexperienced, but I'm excited about them. I feel like there's a lot of potential there. I feel like they approach the game the right way. I feel like both of them carry themselves like professionals. They detail their work. They come out to practice with a mindset of working hard. They're not trying to find the easy way out. And so, they're young players, and I'm sure they're going to do some things this year that, at times people are going to scratch their heads or wonder, but we all do that when we're young. I think, I look at it as for the long haul, I'm really excited about those two and feel like over the long run, if I had the privilege of playing quarterback here, I feel really good about those two guys being on the line for a long time. So, I'm sure we're going to have our hiccups along the way, but I'm really excited about what they can bring, especially as we get out there and play more and more and more and improve.
Kirk, you had mentioned last week when we had a chance to talk to you about the struggles from last season. You got home, you said you were kind of a bear around your wife. What was it that you took so hard? What was it that really bothered you?
Well, I think just, like I said, anytime you have a job to do and you feel like you didn't get the job done, it's going to eat at you if you care about it. And for me, I deeply care about it, and so it was eating at me. And it was important then to say, all right, what do I do now? What do I do about it now? And obviously, I couldn't go right back on the field and try to fix it, but that may have been a good thing to just be able to go back and learn from it and slowly try to grow and build off of it.
That's part of it, too, because you couldn't go right back out there. How did you crawl out of that funk? Then what did you do to try to escape that?
You just go back, and, I started watching some different cut-ups, tried to study some of the better quarterbacks in the league and different concepts, and just, try to go back and be a student of the game and really learn and challenge myself and make the most of the opportunity I had, being that I wasn't active for some of those weeks. I wasn't having to prep in the same way for the team we were playing. I felt like, I'll go back and just study my own game and try to improve my own perspective. So you're always looking at how can I get better with the circumstances around me and the situation I'm in, what can I do to get better and deliberately practice whatever that is.
Kirk, Coach said that this is your team. And I think that sounds like if you make a mistake, you don't have to look over your shoulder to see who's, behind you. Is that the sentiment that you get when he said that?
Yeah, I think it's, just like anybody else who starts the season, they're a starting quarterback. Obviously, everybody has a limit. You got to do your part. You got to play well. But I do feel believed in. I haven't questioned that. I've never questioned that. And, I feel like I have all the pieces around me to be able to be successful.
Forgive me if you've addressed this. I think many of us looked at Matt Kavanaugh coming in as primarily to work with Robert, but obviously he's been working with you all this whole time. So could you shed any light on ways in which he has helped you?
Sure. Matt's been a major help. I think Sean had, a lot to handle last year, and having Matt here also helps Sean because it gives Sean an ability to focus on other things and gives Matt an ability to focus on some details with us in the quarterback room. So it's helping our whole staff. I think it's helping our quarterback room, our offense, and he's really detailed some reads. He brings experience from different teams he's been with, successful teams, as both a player and a coach. So I really value his experience, having played 14 years and then now coaching and being in this league. I believe it's been almost 30 years or more. There's just a lot of experience that I can gain from him, and I'm excited about what he's brought and what I hope he will continue to bring throughout the season.
Kirk, there's almost an assumption that if Robert's on the roster, it could be a distraction for you, for the team, whatever. I wonder if you could just kind of address that and just how he's been with you throughout this and through previous times where you've come in for him.
Yeah, he's been great. He's always been classy, I don't feel a distraction in the building. The distraction is if I turn on the TV, answer my phone, get on Twitter. So the distraction is, and as long as I'm in the building working hard, quote unquote, ignoring the noise, even if there is something on the outside being said, I don't feel it. So, we're playing in Washington, D.C. for the Washington Redskins in the NFL. There's always going to be something going on that's going to be there, and it's so important to just look forward and not look right or left.
Along those lines, how do you, now that you have the job, make sure that if you make a mistake, you're not kind of looking over your shoulder?
Yeah, I think it goes back to Jay's really communicated belief in me. I do feel like I've grown a lot as a player. I have a little bit of, I've been here before. I've played in some games. I've had some experiences now, and getting those experiences under my belt, I think will serve me well going forward and give me a little more confidence.
Kirk, is it your impression that Sean McVay will be calling in the plays during the game again this year?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how all the plays get called, but I know that it's coming through Sean ultimately, and there's a lot of different people who are going to weigh in throughout the game, but it's Sean calling the plays.
Kirk, how do you, like Saturday, Sunday before the game, how will you kind of just, I don't know, will you be relaxed? Will you be antsy? Will you watch Michigan State on Saturday?
Yeah. There's always, some nerves and some excitement as the game gets closer and closer. And as I said earlier, it's just so important to take deep breaths and say, all right, this is big. It's a great opportunity, but I don't want to make it bigger than it is. I'm gonna play my best when I can be in that sweet spot where I'm relaxed but focused. And every athlete's trying to find that sweet spot each weekend. But, Michigan State plays Saturday night, and it'll be tough because I'll be wanting to tune in, but I'll know I need to get to bed. So this is certainly a big game in East Lansing this weekend. I'll tune in for a minute. I'll have to put it on, at least see the scene. I want to see the scene in East Lansing. I'm sure the place will be rocking, and after about 10 minutes, I'll be turning it off and trying to get some sleep.
In the portion of practice we saw this morning, D'Angelo undercut an out route to Deshaun, and then I heard him saying afterwards that it was something that you tipped off that he saw. I'm just curious how often you talk to the defensive guys like D'Angelo that have been around for so long to try to maybe eliminate some of those tells that other DBs could use.
Yeah, you're always trying to learn. I think it's so important to pick the brain of players, especially a guy like D'Angelo who's played 12 years, has a ton of experience, has seen a lot. So I go around the building and try to pick as many people's brains as I can, and especially when you get someone like a Coach Kavanaugh who comes from Chicago and has been around the block, it's what was this guy like? What did he do? What made him successful? How did he prepare? I try to be a great question asker, and I feel like if I'm a great question asker, I'm going to learn a lot, and that's something I'll always carry with me when I'm in this league. Thanks, Kirk. Thank you, guys.